Big picture question to open with.
Sure. Okay.
What is the Furman Advantage?
That's a great question. Well, the Furman Advantage is Furman's most recent strategic initiatives or strategic mission. And really the way we think about it is what we're promising that all students, or hoping that all students get from their Furman education, which of course includes, challenging classes, right? Faculty that are very innovative and connected to their students and challenge them in the classroom so that the students get excited about their learning. But then of course, taking that learning and applying it through deep, immersive, engaged learning experiences. And that could be even in the classroom. So we've got plenty of examples of faculty who within their class expose students to the community and applied learning. But also we hope that students will take advantage and do an internship at some point for credit or during the summer, undergraduate research, maybe take advantage of a study away opportunity during the May term or during the semester. We also have lots of opportunities for students to get involved in the community and sort of very meaningful projects that they can lead. And of course, there's tons of opportunities for students to get involved in organizations where they can have leadership roles and really make a difference. But again, it's taking that classroom learning, problem solving, critical thinking, and applying it. So that's a big piece of it. And through all of this, we always hope that students are engaging in really important relationships with faculty, staff, community members, employers, alumni. So mentoring is a really big part of this as well, where you're hoping that students and faculty and staff are having conversations about the learning that's going on. So students can reflect upon it, think about it, think about what they want to do in the future. Sorry, I've got a child behind me knocking on the door. Hold on. Go away. This is what happens when you're teaching school and trying to do your job. Please include that because that's reality for a lot of your faculty or a lot of our faculty. But at any rate, while students are learning in the classroom and outside of the classroom, we're hoping that they're developing strong relationships with mentors that can ask them really good questions. And so all of this, though, we think of as an integrative whole. So the students' classroom work, out of class work, their living experiences, their relationships, we want that to be integrated in some way. So that's where the 4-year pathway comes into mind, where we're thinking about students where they are developmentally and trying to have conversations around, what do you want to explore? What do you want to find out? Think about what your interests are. Think about what your passions are, and make good choices about what the next course you take is, what the next activity you engage in, what kind of volunteer work you engage in, and so on. So we're really thinking of the Furman Advantage as a holistic approach to education, where students are putting together all the pieces of their Furman experiences in a meaningful way, so that when they leave here, they can really understand who they are, what they want to do, how they can make a difference in the world. So it involves, strong, innovative classroom learning outside of the classroom with engaged learning experiences, really good mentoring from faculty, staff, alumni, community members, et cetera, and lots of reflection, lots of opportunity to think about how all the pieces fit together so that when you leave here and you want to engage in your first job, your first career, you're really prepared and excited.
Briefly, let me just point out that when we talk about, excuse me, undergraduate research, we're not talking about research in general because, of course, all of the students will be exposed to research methods and research opportunities in their classes that they're taking for credit during the semester, but we're specifically talking about our summer research program where students are in a mentor relationship with a faculty member and they're part of a research team and they're working full-time with that faculty member on a research project throughout the duration of the summer. That's what we mean, of course, by our undergraduate research program. So when you ask the question, how do students get involved in that? The short answer to that is they need to establish a relationship with a faculty member who is going to be taking on research mentees in any given summer. So the next question then is, well, how do they establish that relationship? That is part of the informal process of student-faculty relations. And the short answer is that a student simply needs to go to a faculty member or a faculty member needs to seek out students and they simply have to have a conversation about who's going to be taking on students and what the project might be and if this is an appropriate fit for both the faculty and the student. And then when the time comes, which is in early February, this time around, excuse me, the faculty member submits an application for the student for him or her and the student as a research team. And then the student receives an application link and the process is up and running. And so that's the main way in which, our student faculty research teams come together. And we quickly, I'll just add that Furman has, for a school our size, a very robust undergraduate research program. So on any given summer, over the last few summers, we've had approximately 200 students on campus every summer, all fully funded, working with approximately 90 faculty. So that's an average of about two students to each faculty mentor, working throughout the summer on various research projects. So we're really good at it, and something that we're very proud of. And I'll simply close this by saying, as our website indicates, and this was before I became the undergraduate research director, so I'm not taking credit for this. Furman won the National Award for Liberal Arts for undergraduate research. So that reflects not only how many students we have and how much money we invest in it, but the range all across campus, from the arts, fine arts, over to the laboratory sciences, that we have programs any given summer in all of our departments and all of our disciplines. And so it's something that we're very proud to be able to provide our students, is these summer undergraduate research opportunities.
Generally speaking, we invite students to come in and meet with either myself or Andy Coe, our assistant director, so that we can get to know a little bit about who they are, what they're studying, what activities they're involved with, and then we start talking about the internship experience from the perspective of what do they want to get from the experience. And then that helps us identify for them what opportunities they want to look into, work with them on their respective academic programs to understand if they want to do it during the academic year or over the course of the summer, etc. We've got internships available through Greenville area employers, where we've established partnerships with over the years, as well as with alumni through a network that we call Furman Connections, or with parents of current or former students. So we literally have opportunities available to students throughout the country. Obviously, during the academic year, they're primarily available part-time in the Greenville community, and then during the summer, they're available full-time virtually anywhere that student wants to go. Thanks to the Furman Advantage that Dr. Pontari spoke to, we also provide summer fellowship funding to students who apply for an internship that's either unpaid or low paid over the course of the summer and meets certain criteria, such as needing to be full-time, needing 35 to 40 hours for a minimum of 8 weeks. And that opportunity lets some of our students actually create new internships. Sometimes they have their own connection, or we help them foster those connections so that they can establish an internship with an organization that didn't have one previously. A wonderful example of this is we had a student last year reach out to the Carly Fiorina organization called Unlocking Potential, and they had never had formal interns before. He proposed to them to be their first inaugural intern, and his project as an intern was to formalize an internship program so that they could continue to take interns in years to come. In addition to that, we also help students with resume writing, cover letters, interview skills, networking, etc., so that while we don't place a student, we help make sure that they optimize how competitive they can be for some of these opportunities. I mentioned the summer fellowship. That application for funding is coming up Sunday, April the 12th. So for students, especially in kind of this COVID-19 uncertain time, they've been working on an internship opportunity and they're not sure what the status is or if that has fallen through. We always encourage students to reach out to either myself or my colleague through the internship at furman.edu so we can individually assist them and help facilitate another experience for them. And that's essentially how you can get involved with internships. And I should mention one more thing. Most of our academic programs are internship courses during the academic year. So whether their program requires an internship or highly encourages it, I always suggest that they speak with their advisor about the potential to get credit for that internship during the academic year or even during the summer, depending on what those requirements are.
So usually what we recommend that students do is begin to just look for information sessions that occur during fall. Usually they happen in September, and we host a whole series that are led by a person from my office. And at those meetings, we describe the process for finding all of the available opportunities and the timeline and deadlines and all that that's coming up. Generally speaking, MAEX applications and summer applications are usually due in mid-October, and semester applications for both the upcoming fall and spring next academic year would be due in the mid to end of January. Aside from those information sessions, faculty members who have developed their own programs usually lead interest meetings, and those would be advertised around campus. They'll usually hold one or two just to give a general sense of what their particular program is about, both for MAEX for summer and of course for the semester-long programs. During Family Weekend, we've been holding an annual fair every year, which is really kind of the unveiling of all the opportunities that are going to be available starting with the upcoming May and summer and then the next academic year. And that's a perfect opportunity for students to walk around and meet the professors that are going to be leading these opportunities and to find out more information about specifically what each program is about. And finally, we offer advising one-on-one sessions with Study Away staff members, where students can ask all of the questions that they might have that relate just to them. And then I guess the last thing that I would add is that we really encourage students at a very, as soon as they get to Furman as freshmen, to go and speak with an advisor to say, this is something that I'm very interested in, if that's the case, and then start to look at how they would make that fit into their academic, into their academic schedule.
What is Furman Engaged?
Furman Engaged is our campus-wide celebration of all the engaged learning that occurs on our campus. It should have occurred, or it should be occurring next week. It will not because of our situation, but that would have been the 12th annual Furman Engaged. And basically what occurs on this day is we had approximately 600 individual students presenting in different formats, all of the types of immersive experiences they had over the year. And a key part of engaged learning or having a high impact experience is at the end of it, sharing it out with other people. And so Furman Engaged provides that opportunity. So we have usually roughly about 75 to 80 oral sessions that go on. This year we had about 200 research posters that were supposed to take place. We had an internship gallery walk that I hope I get the number right, Diane, I think it was 80-ish students presenting their internships. During the oral session, students will talk about their undergraduate research experiences that occurred maybe during the academic year or during the summer. You've got senior seminars that present their capstone projects. You've got freshman writing seminars that present their writing. We also have theater performances, music performances, the senior art show. Really the types of content that is expressed in this day is really quite remarkable. Covers all disciplines, all types of experiences. What we're trying to do is give students the opportunity to share with their peers, their faculty, staff. We also invite alumni, we invite employers, we invite internship supervisors, parents, to show them the amazing work they've done throughout the year. So it's a very robust day. As I mentioned, we usually have about 75 to 80 oral sessions, 200 posters, 80 people in a gallery walk. This year we also expanded to include some student-driven programming. At the end of the day, we were changing. We usually have an international food fest that occurs at lunch. We moved it to dinner time. And we were planning on also incorporating some student organizations to share their work as well, their unique projects. So really is an entire day. Classes are usually suspended. An entire day dedicated to just demonstrating the incredible projects, research experiences, applied learning that goes on at Furman. What we're hoping to do is to provide opportunities for students and with their faculty mentors and staff mentors to present virtually. And we're currently working on this. We're messaging faculty next week, and then we'll message students that we're going to provide a platform for them to potentially, for example, submit a PDF of their poster. They could also do a slideshow with voiceover if they wanted to actually go through an entire presentation. They could submit a video of themselves doing their oral presentation that they would have done. A music person can submit an audio recording of their performance. So we're going to offer options to faculty and to students. It will be optional, it won't be required. Just so, because we know that right now is a fairly stressful time for people. We don't want to add to what they're doing, but we also want to provide students the opportunity to demonstrate again all the work they've done. We know a lot of students and their faculty mentors and staff mentors have already done the work, so we want to give them the opportunity to share it. So that will be forthcoming next week, and we'll see. I hope that students and departments and faculty take advantage of that option.
Since Furman Engaged in person doesn't get to happen this year, we're trying to showcase as many examples of all the different things you guys are talking about as we can. So as a sort of ending part of this video, I'd love it if each of you would share just sort of one example that really either like struck home with you or was really funny or interesting.
Sure. Goes without saying that when we have 100 or so different projects going on each summer, this was a difficult decision as to which one to choose. But I have to admit that the one that sort of jumped to the forefront and stuck there with me as I was pondering the options was the project that Dr. Sophia Kearns in the Modern Languages Department, she's a Spanish professor there, she has a project that this summer would be in its third consecutive year of support. And it is a study of Colombian, from the country of Colombia, not the town Colombia, but of Colombian migrants to Greenville in the 1960s and 1970s who worked in the textile mills and in the textile industry here. And she's Colombian, and so 3 summers ago, she approached me and said, I have this kernel of an idea, this germ of a thought here that I'm sort of pondering. It has something to do with the role of Colombians in the textile industry here. No one's studied this before, and many of them are getting on in years, and I'd like to maybe conduct a couple interviews with some of them or something like this. And so we talked about it a little bit, and she submitted an application for a research student. They went about gathering a whole slew of interviews with many of these people, and it ended up being a really successful project. It developed great ties with the community. We ended up it got press coverage, and then the project just kept growing. And so then last summer, she took 2 students with her down to Colombia, to Medellin, which is basically the textile center of Colombia, and began to draw the ties between the migrants coming out of Medellin and coming into Greenville. And one of the interesting things about this is that these Colombian migrants were so important to the textile industry here is because they came from a textile region and they knew how to operate the machines, even how to fix them. And so one of their great contributions / roles to the Greenville textile industry was as these very important workers that were, that brought skills that the textile owners here desperately wanted and needed. And so they had this, very important and essentially unknown role here. And she, through this process, is beginning to uncover it and to show the ties between Greenville and Medellin. And so her end goal now is that she wants to do a documentary about this experience based on those interviews and the film that she and these 2 students went down there and captured in Medellin. And then she was going to continue forth with this summer. And so it's a really exciting, neat project. And the thing that I like about it most is that it really has this very organic quality that started here, at Furman, and was able to come to fruition by a combination of a faculty having a good idea, but then having undergraduate research students working alongside her to turn what was, again, just a kind of initial idea into a really potentially path-breaking and very substantive project. So that's the one that came to mind, and I think is really a fun one to think about. And I know that the students that have been involved in it so far, there have been 3 and potentially a 4th one this summer, have had truly transformative experiences in the process.
Well, like Dr. Ching, there's so many good ones to choose from, but I did opt for to talk about Nick Hogan, who is a senior. And when we talked last year, he's a psychology major, he's from North Carolina, and he has a real interest in working in the outdoors. So we started brainstorming some potential opportunities, and he got the idea to intern with Outward Bound, which has a North Carolina presence. Now, this is a great example of an organization that we had no relationship with prior to Nick interning with them, but he reached out to them. He started doing some networking. He presented the fact that he could get a fellowship through the university to support his experience, and he's really just looking for something that would be meaningful in terms of a learning opportunity outside the classroom to apply what he had learned. And he had a tremendous summer. He learned more than he expected. He came and visited with us this past fall to share everything. And I think one of the most fundamental undergirdings of these experiences, and I dare say probably around research and study ways as well, is the level of confidence that students return with from these experiences. In addition to what they learn, it teaches them so much about themselves. And to Dr. Pontari's point, that's where that reflection component is so important. And now Nick has a much better sense of what he enjoys doing, what he's good at doing, and what he wants to do post-Furman. So that would definitely be just one of several examples that I could highlight.
So I think it's just so hard to choose a single student, but I do want to talk about a particular element of Study Away that tends to make a profoundly transformative experience for all students who have this. And that's any time that a host family is part of a program. I think that the host family offers types of immersion that just are second to none. Especially because you really get to have a true glimpse of the lives of the people that you're studying, that you're out there to learn more about. You get language exposure if that's your thing for a foreign language. You see a local culture through the local lens. I would say that you could potentially go abroad and not really change. Like, you bring your own things with you. You bring your own culture and your own sense of how things work with you. But once you're living with somebody else and really seeing how they do things, I think it just gives you an immense amount of opportunity to explore things that you never would have thought of before. Even just trying on new things, like trying new products that you would have bought on your own because they're unfamiliar to you. Unfamiliar cooking, to get a sense of what the local cuisine is really like and not just what is served at a restaurant. The kinds of conversations and sharing and back and forth learning about cultures and trying to understand each other, and the jokes that can be hilarious, especially when they involve a language mistake. So that's really for me what I hear most from students has made the Study Away program be the most profound, even if it's just a single day, like a dinner that happens to be with the host family, or a couple of days with the host family. Any kind of thing that can really immerse a student in something that they otherwise wouldn't get to experience, that's been very profound.